The U.S. Supreme Court has ruled in favor of Alaskan Native tribes who want government funding from the CARES Act. I want to bring in Ilya Shapiro to break this case down. He is the vice president of the Cato Institute and the director of the Robert A. Levy Center for Constitutional Studies. So Ilya, tell us about this case. What was being argued and what did the court decide exactly?
Right. So the CARES Act, part of COVID relief, gave $8 billion to tribal governments. At issue here was whether Alaskan natives, who are constituted in a different way than native peoples in the lower 48, as they would say. Native Hawaiians are, again, separate in a different way for various historical reasons. So the question is, the way that the Treasury Department interpreted the CARES Act, based on other interpretations from the Interior Department, this is very complicated intergovernmental stuff, was that $450 million of this $8 billion total went to the Alaskan natives. And certain other tribes from the lower 48, certain Indian tribes, challenged that because if the Alaskans didn't get that money, then it would be redistributed among the other Indian tribes. And at the end of the day, the court ruled 6-3 that the Alaskan natives did indeed qualify as Indian tribes under very technical legal reasoning involving several different statutes that were at play here. But at bottom, it's not the case that Alaskan natives are the same as Indian tribes for every purpose, but at least for the CARES Act, they do get that chunk of money.
So, Ilya, as I understand it, there are, like 200 Alaskan villages that are considered tribes, but this particular corporation was not. So when I read about the case, I thought to myself, does this even apply beyond this specific organization? Does this ruling mean anything for Native tribes outside of this particular situation?
I doubt it. Unless the reasoning is similar for whatever other statute might be considered as it is in the CARES Act. So there's something called the Indian Self-Determination and Education Assistance Act, the ISDA. There's the Alaska Native Claims Settlement Act, the ANCSA. Lots, again, as I said, lots of different, very technical legal schemes here at play. So it just depends on what some future case, how the definition of Indian tribe works, which statutory reference Congress puts in, how Treasury and Interior interpret those things. So the answer is it really depends. Sorry, I can't give you any more clarity on that. But as I said, Alaskans, like Hawaiians, are treated as Indian tribes under certain conditions, but not under others.
So, Ilya, this ruling came down 6-3, but it wasn't conservative-leaning versus liberal-leaning justices. Did the mix surprise you?
Yeah, there were 3 cases that were decided today, relatively low-profile ones. We can discuss the higher-profile ones that are still left, and all of the alignments were very unusual. So in this case, the Indian law Alaskan case, it was Barrett joining Kagan and Sotomayor I'm sorry, I got that wrong. That was a different case earlier today where it was the men over the women, which was the first time that alignment had ever happened. Here, it was Gorsuch, Kagan, and Thomas in dissent. Again, an unusual constellation of justices. In another case today, it was Justice Thomas joining the 3 more liberal justices. So the court is proving again and again, both with unanimous decisions and unusual alignments, that legal analysis is different than politics. Now, we could still see certain kind of 6-3 Republican appointees over Democratic appointees. But I think we've only had 1 or 2 of those kind of alignments thus far, and there are only 5 cases left this term.
So this brings me to my question about what other major cases we're sort of watching. I'm giggling because I keep trying to keep track of the major cases, and then all these other cases come up about cheerleaders or getting DUIs in your garage at home. But tell me, please, what cases should I be trying to keep track of? What's coming up?
The two of the five that are left that most people are looking for, one is called Americans for Prosperity Foundation versus Bonta. Bonta is now the Attorney General of California. It used to be Becerra, who's now the Secretary of Homeland and of Health and Human Services. That's about donor disclosure rules, not for political campaigns, but for nonprofits, charities. When you have people donating money to them, California wants to access those disclosures that generally go to the IRS for tax purposes. California wants to know them for a whole host of other reasons, and there have been leaks. Those donors have been disclosed, and the argument is, why do they need them? This could have a chilling effect on charitable organizations, and so you have an alignment of ideological odd bedfellows as well as charities that don't have any political salience whatsoever. Cato, my organization, certainly filed in support of the donors against the California law there, but that could have significant ramifications for philanthropy of various kinds. And then the other case is a voting rights case. Brnovich, who's the Attorney General of Arizona, versus Democratic National Committee. And it challenges not just specific Arizona laws about against ballot harvesting, having non-relatives collect votes to drop off at the election centers, and that you have to vote in the designated precinct, otherwise your vote doesn't count. Those are likely to be upheld. A lot of states have both of those kinds of provisions. But what people are looking at is what kind of standard the court will set going forward. This is under Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, the main provision still in place to prevent racial disenfranchisement, which after the Supreme Court 8 years ago in the Shelby County decision disabled the kind of pre-clearance standard. That is what's being debated in Congress now, whether certain states, certain jurisdictions have to get cleared by the Justice Department before they can change their rules. How should courts evaluate those kind of Section 2, the key part of the Voting Rights Act, challenges? So that is going to obviously affect all of our battles over election legislation that's coming from different states.
All right, Ilya, we will keep an eye on it. Ilya Shapiro, thank you very much.
Thank you. Monday, Tuesday is probably when those are going to come down.
All right, good to know.